Hey everybody, hello and good evening, greetings. Tonight we are going to attempt to make a waterproof camera case with a little bit of a modification. Well, first let's put that over here. We're not ready for that. Right now the first thing that I need to do is I need to take this brand new camera and take it apart. So the thing that you need to do is you take the battery out of there, open the little micro SD card hatch, take the SD card out, unloosen this. There's a screw right here. You do not want to lose this screw. There's a magnet right here, so okay, one thing the second thing that you need to do is there's two screws right here, 1 and 2. You want to loosen that as well. Today is Saturday, December 30th, 2017. By the way, fair warning, this will probably void your warranty, so unless you're prepared to do this, don't do it. The goal is to take this little back, I wish didn't have to take this out, but apparently you do. So once that's done, you gotta put this back. It's a little tricky to get that thing back in there. Me and my little big stubby fingers. I think it went this way. There you go. Now you notice that this is going to, sometimes this is going to be a little tricky to put back. Oh. There we go, there we go. I guess you gotta put this little cover back on here. There we go. By the way, I went to see Baby Blue just an hour ago. Just say hello. I checked up on her, and good news is she's still plugged in. Engine heater is plugged in. Bad news is she wouldn't. She cranked and cranked and cranked, and finally the battery died. So sometime tomorrow, I'm gonna have to show up early and bring my garage battery charger. And let the battery charge for an hour. I suspect that either the extension cord leading up to the engine block heater has no power, or the engine block heater doesn't work, because it should have started like crazy. I've had it a lot colder than this, and the trucks usually start no problem. Alright, she's free. Put the battery back. Lock her up. Don't forget to put your screw back on there. It's just one of those things, you can't hurry it up, right? Alright, one of the things that you got to do, I don't want to put the 64 gig in there. Where's my other? That doesn't have a memory card in there. Here we go. Well, to use that one. All right, that's not what we were trying to do anyway. Okay, so now the reason I took the cover out is that so I could put that in there. What we're going to do is we're going to bore a hole for the HDMI port, and this is the USB charger. So here's our HDMI cable. So we're going to need a drill bit that's big enough to do that. Let's start with this little baby. Well, one of the things that I should have is a Dremel. I don't have a Dremel. And you thought I was gonna drill that with the camera inside. Ha ha ha. Forgive me, this drill is about 20 years old. And the battery, so... Alright, I'm going to spare you the detail on this one because this is going to take forever without the drill or without a Dremel. Oh boy. That actually worked. All right, I'll be right back. Peace. See a little hole right there? Yeah, I know it's rough, right? Well, I wanted it to be rough because I need the epoxy to adhere to it. Whoop. Not quite there yet. We're gonna have to take this whole section out of there. So I need to come down a little bit and go up. Gotcha. I'll be right back. Well, guess what I found in the garage? A file. Alright, let's see. I think we got it, George. Look at that. See that? And then that's our USB charger right there. So, but this is not the exact wire I'm going to use, because that's only 3 feet long. I'll be right back. Okay, this is the wire we're going to be using. That's 10 feet long. Many of you asked what kind of battery I use. I use the regular Sony batteries, but even those only last for a couple of hours. You don't want to keep changing batteries, so That goes in there. Voila. Now all I got to do now is take this, ooh, sorry about that. I just got this JB weld and seal it up a little bit. But before I do that, there's something very important I need to do to the camera. And it's a very, very important process. Learn from mistake because I didn't do it on the last two cameras. And that is, you take a little, I was actually at Walmart looking for a silicone spray, but I didn't have, I couldn't find it. So I looked around, and guess what? Chopstick, right? And so what you want to do is you got to be careful with this lens. Don't drag it around. You take a little bit of this wax, and you wax the surface of the camera so that the epoxy will not stick to it. You don't want the epoxy to stick to the camera, otherwise you'll never get the camera out. Also, it would be a good idea take some of this wax and fill up some of these holes, right? Like that. I don't plan on taking these cameras out of the case. So even if they do stick, but you do have to understand that by doing this, you are voiding your warranty. But I don't see any other way of doing this any better than this. So and I think a cotton swab is a lot better than this. I'll be right back. Alright, I got the rear end of the camera all prepped up. As you can see, it's waxy in there. So what you're going to want to do now is, of course, you got to clean this lenses because you're about into the final process of this. And make sure, oh boy, make sure you don't get that wax on the lens. Oh man, you don't want to get that wax on the lens. So, put that back in there. Get all this junk out of there. Alright, I got the camera all prepped up. As you can see, it's all sealed nice and clean in there. So the next step is to mix your epoxy. I like this plunger thing. It's a little bit more expensive than the tube, but those tube leaks and you could never get the perfect mixture. You take one of these garbage plastic thing that won't stick. Back off so it doesn't drip. Make sure you take the black into the black. How did that go? There. What a perfect idea, right? Sealed, reusable. Mix it up, and it should set for 15 minutes, I think. Don't do that. Don't go down there. All right. Make sure you put your wires on before you put the epoxy on. Like I almost almost didn't. That's it right there. And now you just take this epoxy. Now this is not going to be watertight, sealed, where you can go diving. Of course not. Take a little paper thing like this, go between the two posts to seal it up. You kind of want to have a little bit of a foundation to make it, you know, sturdy, where you're not pulling onto the wire. Kind of a build it up a little bit. Now I know I'm doing this a horrible job, but I know some of you out there can do a whole lot better than this. But this is the best that I could do with the brain power that I have. Right? And then later, where did I put that thing? There we go. You take a perfectly brand new inner tube like this, like $3, $2 I think it was, and I don't have a knife. I gotta go get a scissors. I'll be right back. You take a perfectly good inner tube. You cut the stem and now you have yourself a hollow tube that you can I really don't want to do this right now because that epoxy is still wet, but I want to give you guys an idea of what this thing is going to look like. I can't really show this to you right now because so the idea is you're going to put all these wires all the way inside here, and that end of the connections is going to go out to that end, and you're going to stick this inner tube right here. You're going to stretch this and engulf this camera here all the way around, and you're going to take a where's my silicone? I had a silicone tube in here somewhere. There we go. You take this silicone right here. You silicone this all the way around. That way this will be sealed onto the body. And that should rainproof it, you know. So and you don't want to do it while the epoxy is wet, of course not. So we're gonna let that dry. We're gonna let it set, and we'll be right back. Peace.